Namo Phat, good morning. Thank you for joining me for a daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The fourth mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I vow to cultivate loving speech and deep listening in order to bring joy and happiness to others and to relieve others of their suffering. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I'm determined to speak truthfully, with words that inspire self-confidence, joy, and hope. I will not spread news I do not know to be certain, and will not criticize or condemn things of which I am not sure. I will refrain from uttering words that can cause division or discord, or that can cause a family or the community to break. I am determined to make all efforts to reconcile and resolve all conflicts, however small. Our Dharma lesson today is on worldly values by Ajahn Thiradhammo from Working with the Five Hindrances. Knowing the 8 worldly conditions not only helps us to notice when we get caught in them, but it's also helpful for allowing us to see beyond them. They are only passing conditions. Spiritual practice can encompass the whole spectrum of experiences, positive and negative. The worldly approach to spiritual practice is to get something out of it. Spiritual values often do not fit into the usual categories of desirable experiences, or are their direct opposite. The Buddha gave the following summary, quote, "The things of which you know, these things lead to dispassion, not to passion, to detachment, not to attachment, to diminution, not to accumulation, to wanting little, not to wanting much, to being easily satisfied, not to being hard to satisfy, to seclusion, not to socializing, to putting forth energy, not to indolence, to frugality, not to luxury. Of them you should surely know that they belong to the teaching, to the training, to the teacher's instruction." How many of these spiritual values are surprising to you? If I turn around the usual worldly questions, what have I gained, to ask, what have I given up? I have a completely different perspective on experience. To answer that question, we must look outside the limitations of concepts to another dimension of our being where we usually do not look. It points to the non-self, the non-ego, selflessness. And the answer usually comes out as positive because through spiritual practice, the ego has usually given up some of its greed, aversion, and delusion. As a spiritual question, what we've given up, what we've let go of, what we have freed ourselves from is more important. And the usual positive answer leads to encouragement to continue the practice since we see some beneficial results. Bringing our expectations to spiritual practice will result in disappointment. Buddhist meditation is learning to see things as they really are. So if we can be more receptive to whatever arises in our experience, we are never disappointed. Rather than being blinkered by expectation, we bring it into awareness. Yes, very interesting. Why am I being led around by expectations? May all beings be well, May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for joining me this morning.